Hello everyone, my name is Khaninder and this is my team Akhil, Gokul and Vaibhav. In this video, we'll walk you through our final project presentation wherein we'll cover different components of our website. So we have built a e-commerce fully functional website, and this is our homepage which you're seeing right now. And if you look at our homepage carefully, we have different products, and by default we are displaying jackets on our homepage. And whenever a customer wants to go through our website, he can just scroll down or go to the product which he wants and click on it, and that will take to the details page, which consists of all the details regarding that particular product, and he can choose the color which he wants to buy and the size of that particular product. And you can see example here, which is a pack jacket, and the customer can choose color and size. And coming down to other functionalities of the website, on the top you can see different categories of the clothing products and accessories. And whenever a customer clicks on it, the information is fetched from DynamoDB initially, and later we have used a Redis, which is an Elastic cache technique to display and decrease our retrieval time. And on the top right corner, you can see a search feature wherein a customer can type the products which he is willing to search for. And for example, let's say cotton. Whenever a customer types cotton, all the products which have cotton in the description or which are cotton kind of products are retrieved. And we have used Elasticsearch for efficient search, for our search efficiency basically. And this is all the basic functionalities of our website. And coming down to our major components, we have used DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL database to store our data. And we have run two Spring Boot instance applications on Amazon Web Service EC2 instance. And the images which are looking are fetched through CDN, and we have used Cloudinary CDN for that particular functionality. And as I already mentioned, for caching and searching, we have used Amazon Web Service, Elasticsearch, and Elasticache techniques. And the relation between all these components and basic architecture of our particular website will be explained to you, Vaibhav. So over to you, Vaibhav. Thank you.
Thank you, Khaninder, for giving a great overview about our e-commerce application and all the components that are involved. So this is Vaibhav Biradar, and I'll try and explain how each component is interacting with each other to make the application work seamlessly. So the front end that the user will be able to see and access the products from is built using Angular 9, and we've got two Java Spring Boot applications. Both of them are hosted on EC2 instance. The database that we've used is a DynamoDB. So for the products, we are inserting them into DynamoDB through by creating JSON files of the categories that they belong to, and the images for each product is being stored on Cloudinary, which is our image repository. So every time you store an image on Cloudinary, there is a URL generated, and that particular URL is also stored inside the DynamoDB. So all the products are indexed based on the category, the details, the color, that's been marked against them, and these indexes are then stored in an AWS Elasticsearch. So this Elasticsearch helps to make the search for any product onto our application become very seamless. So when a user comes and surfs through the products using category, what happens is a request is sent to the first Java Spring Boot application in our chain of systems, that is the forwarding and caching application. So this application in turn passes the request to the service controller, which then goes and queries the database, and the result is then forwarded by the forwarding and caching application to the front end, as well as it caches the data onto an AWS Elasticache application. So this is how it works when a user is trying to surf the products through categories. If a user chooses to use text instead of categories, what happens is the request is forwarded to the forwarding and caching application, and that application in turn, instead of passing the request to the service controller, hands the request to the AWS Elasticsearch, which in turn then sends the result back, which is then displayed onto the front end. Since all the products are indexed and the images are stored onto an image repository, a query from the AWS Elasticsearch also works seamlessly in terms of collecting in terms of retrieving the results with respect to a product. For the next part, I'll be handing it over to Akhil Jose Chandy.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for going over those application structure in detail. Hi guys, this is Akhil here, and I will try to give you an overview of the code at a very high level. So here we have the Angular code, that the Angular application, the front end that we've built. And if you can, as you can see here, the application has 4 components. The first is the home page, which is basically the page that you see when the website loads up. And under the home page, if I just show you the components that are there. So we have these functions called get product by category, get product details, and the search products. Now this, for example, the search products is what implements the elastic search on each page, and each of these components are replicated. Each of these functions are replicated across all of our components. For example, if you go to product details and if you check the components there, we have the search products and the get product by category functions here as well. So that we can perform all of these functions from any page of our application or any component in our application, we have these functions in place. And now that we have the functions, let's take a look at how the HTTP calls are made. So if you just open the product services, you can see this is our base URL where we are connecting to the Amazon Web Services EC2 instance. And we also have these APIs that we have defined here. So basically what happens is this is what integrates with our Spring Boot application, the Spring Boot forwarding and caching application, and it gets the products, get all categories, get products by category, and then displays it on our front end. So if we just load up Putty here, so we connect to our EC2 instance using Putty, and as you can see, we have these two Spring Boot applications, the cache e-commerce and the e-commerce application, where the cache e-commerce is what does the forwarding of requests and the caching, and e-commerce website is what does all of the heavy lifting, where it talks to the DB and it retrieves the data and performs indexing and all of that. And we also have these two background services that are running. So I shall go over the first forwarding and request forwarding and caching application that we have. So now that we are here, so the first I will take you through the Redis configuration file that we have here. This is where we configured our Redis cache, and if you see here, we have this class that we've defined, and this class is basically implementing this function of caching the request, the return that we get from the request for an hour. That's what is being implemented there. And now if you look at the application properties, we can see that we connect to the Redis cache, Elastic Cache instance here. So this is the host name, this is on AWS, and we connect to that, and it's running on port 6379. And then if you look at the e-commerce controller, which is basically the endpoints for all of those API calls that come in from the front end. So we have all of these get all products, get product categories, similar to what we saw in our front end. And if you look at task service, so here what we see is if you take a look at the e-commerce controller, we have this task service that we are implementing to provide us the list and the string and all of that. So if you take a look at task service for get all products by category, so we see that what we're basically doing here is this function is we're using the annotation of cacheable, and we are caching by key category name, and we will be caching the cache manager that we defined for 1 hour. So the request that is returned from this API call through the service controller Spring Boot application, the response is basically, in this case, returns the product categories, and then this response is cached for an hour. And this helps us to search faster on our front end in our application. So that is my part, and the rest of this at the service controller and its integration with AWS and all of that details will be explained by Gokul. I'll hand it over to him now. Thank you.
Hello guys, I'm Gokul, and like how Akhil explained, I'm going to be taking it forward from here. So like how he mentioned that all the requests from the Angular are forwarded to the request and caching server. These are then in turn forwarded to the service layer, which is where all the business logic is written. Now, even before we get there, I'll talk to you a little bit about how we inserted the data. So if, like how Vaibhav had initially mentioned, we had stored each product as a list of JSON files. As you can see here, this is the accessories JSON. So we have stored a list of products over here, and we've given the URL as uh, a file path in my computer system. So what we've done is we have created a method here called add product. So this gets this list of JSON files, and then what it does is it goes through every JSON and then uploads it to DynamoDB. And before it uploads it to DynamoDB, it gets the image and uploads it to Cloudinary, which then in return gives us a URL, which we store it in our product object and then store it into the DynamoDB. So if we take a look at products over here, these are our attributes. We have the title, description, URL. And we have some nested attributes like manufacturer details, shipping details, category, and pricing. So let's take a look at the endpoints inside this. So we have these different endpoints like get products, which gets all the products, get product categories, get all the products by category name, and product details, and so on. And we also have this endpoint, which is index products. So like how Vaibhav had mentioned that we index from DynamoDB to our Elasticsearch. So what we do is we call this endpoint, which in turn fetches all the details from the DynamoDB and then indexes it into the products cluster. And so this can be used later on to search our products from the front end. Now I will show you how all of this looks on the AWS instance. So these are my EC2 instance running. So you can see that I have an EC2 server here, which is a micro instance, and it's running on the US East zone. These are my public IP and all of that. So I have logged into my instance, and you can see that there's 2 Java files running in the background, and the e-commerce is the one which is the application or the service controller. We can see here that it's running. Now let's move on. We can see here that this is the DynamoDB table and all the products have been inserted here. Let's take one product for example, and we can see that all the details are over here, that we have the category details, the color, the description, pricing, and so forth. We also have the Elastic cache over here. So we're using Redis in our case, the Redis Elastic cache. So we have a primary node and we have a replica node. This is where all our results are cached. This is our Elasticsearch. We have a Elasticsearch cluster products. You can see our cluster health over here, the number of nodes and the active shards. And this also has a Kibana for the front end. So this console lets you query results, index, and also create visualization on top of our data. So let's simply query for cotton. So this should get us results which products which have the word cotton in them, either in the description, category, or the title. And this way it is extremely instantaneous without querying the DB. And this is why we have also implemented this in our application. So you see here that barely took any time, and we have all the products which have cotton in them, the word cotton. You can see that there was cotton over there and there was cotton over here. So this is our application. And we have, before I forget, we have also implemented the image repository using Cloudinary, which is a CDN, and this is where all our images are stored, as you can see over here. And that is our entire application. And for future, what we would like to do is we would ideally want to log user data and how he navigates through the app, so that we could, and the products he visits. So what we could do is we could then use the AWS machine learning platform to create good recommendations and product recommendations to the user. And yeah, that is our future scope. Thank you.